All right, today at noon, several members of law enforcement throughout Spokane County, to include our federal partners, initiated search warrants on 8 spas and 6 residences in Spokane County. The purpose of those search warrants were for the following crimes: promoting prostitution, money laundering, and criminal profiteering. So far, we've taken 5 owners into custody, and some are still being questioned, and others have not yet been contacted. Once we contact them, they too will be interviewed and possibly taken into custody. This is a culmination of an investigation that took approximately 12-14 months over a period of time. We started it out Northern Quest Resort and Casino, came to the Kalispell Tribal Police telling them they believed that they had maybe a prostitution issue going on there, so they contacted the Kalispell Tribal Police, who in turn contacted us. We worked jointly with the Kalispell Tribal Police to investigate that. During our investigation, we developed CIs, who then led us down the path of what's called Backpage and another website called Spokane Board. We started investigating that, put CIs into these health spas because these health spas were advertising on Spokane Board, and through the use of CIs and undercover officers, we've developed probable cause to effect arrests on those previously mentioned charges. They're still in the process of conducting some search warrants and taking evidence into custody. And once more information is developed, we'll give you an update.
The names of those people who were arrested?
We do. The ones so far that were taken into custody is Tony Day, Chin Day, Jessica Vargas, who was taken into custody in Moses Lake. She actually has a residence where she lives in Moses Lake, but one of her businesses here in Spokane. Young Kasim and Insuk Argos.
How many women were involved in this prostitution ring?
When we first started looking into it, there was approximately 40 to 50 women. It looks like now we have upwards of maybe 200 or 250 girls that cycle through the spas.
Did you ever expect there'd be anything this large happening in Spokane County?
I think it happens everywhere. I think it happens in every city in the United States, and the larger the metropolis, the more you're going to have it. I don't know if Spokane County is unique. I think it happens in most jurisdictions.
Do you know if there's a human trafficking element?
We haven't come across any human trafficking yet, but that doesn't mean that there isn't. We're hoping that people will come forward and talk to us about that. But so far we have not uncovered any human trafficking. Although we don't believe that it's not feasible, we're just hoping people will come forward.
How old were the women involved in this?
Their ages varied from 20 to 40.
Did you find anyone underage?
No one has been found underage yet.
So inside these spas, customers go in, it looks like an average spa, and then are there back rooms? How did the layout of these spas work?
Each of the spas were different. In talking with the undercover officers and our CIs, they all work about the same thing, where a customer will come in, pay a door fee. Once that door fee's paid, then, depending on what type of service that customer wants, the price goes from there. But as far as we can tell, we have not found any typical massage type equipment in these spas.
So no one was paying for a massage?
We don't believe that anybody is going for a legitimate massage. No, we think that these are for prostitution.
And Chief, y'all are in the process of perhaps being able to seize some of the ill-gotten assets from these operations, kind of break the back of the operation, just not show up and make arrests one day, but put them out of business?
Correct. We're taking items both for criminal profiteering through ill-gotten gain, as well as evidentiary items that we are seizing and storing in property rooms.
How does this tie back to the casino?
The only tie it has to the casino was when we worked a prostitution sting at the casino. Our CIs are the one that developed the information for us to let us know about this back page. They let us know about Spokane Board, and they also had worked at spas or were currently working at some of these spas, and so they are the ones that led us to that. The casino, it isn't really tied into the casino. That's just where it started, because the casino wanted that type of activity removed, and they don't want to condone that type of activity.
So how did it work at the casino then, as far as prostitution was concerned?
What we did is, once we developed a CI, we would call them up. We would use a ruse of being a John, have them come out to the casino. Once they got to the casino, we would talk to them. Once the deal was done, we'd arrest them. It was a very minimal amount of time that we had to spend at the casino to start developing our probable cause to go after the spas.
And then some of these women that you arrested in that posing as a John, did they in turn become the CIs and help you with the larger investigation?
Most of the CIs that we got were the ones that we had taken in esteem at the casino.
And were they, when they went into these massage parlors, were they being told to go in there and be paid to have sex or pay to have sex?
I don't know what the owners of the spas were telling them. I just know that when we contacted them and we used some of our CIs to go in and apply for work there, as well as undercover officers posing as Johns.
So would the Johns contact these prostitutes via Backpage and Spokane Board, or find them at the casino?
They would contact them via Spokane Board or Backpage, or from the spa. Most of them were on Spokane Board or Backpage.
You took into custody the owners of these spas, but did you say that there's no legitimate spa activity or any massage activity? Are you looking to arrest any of the other people involved? Because clearly other people knew about this besides the owners.
Are you talking specifically the prostitutes or the Johns?
Well, anybody else who was working and facilitating in the spa.
What we're looking at right now is specifically going after the owners, because they're the ones that profited from this. We are looking at some managers that would fill in and also interview some of the girls, but aren't the owners. But we are not at this time going after any of the girls or the Johns at this time.
Any idea how large that client base might be?
It varies on the spa, and it varies the day of the week, varies the week of the month, and it varies the month of the year.
Any estimation how profitable this has been with the money laundering scheme, and then also just the great amount of clients?
It varies anywhere. A couple of the CIs have told us that they make $6,000 a month. Some of the spas say they make $8,000 to $10,000 a month. Just depends on the clientele based at a particular spa.
And you've gone after the spa owners. Will you also be arresting some of the Johns involved in this?
No, we're not this time. We're not looking at making any arrests on any of the prostitutes or the Johns. Right now, we are not.
When y'all executed the raids today, did you find any Johns in any of the places where you did your warrants?
We did.
And what was their reaction, Chief?
Well, I think you can imagine what the reaction would be. They were a bit shocked.
Chief, these places offer the discreet backdoor entrances. If you don't want to be seen, come around to our private back door. That's what it says on the one in Sprague. I worry that there's a lot of money that these gentlemen are spending on these girls, up to $200 per session, that might be not being spent on their families, maintaining the house. Do you think that's part of the problem here? Is this just a lot of money going down an empty rat hole?
I think that a lot of people are spending money on places they shouldn't spend money on. It also comes with other crimes that go unreported, such as one of our undercover officers, when we investigated one of the females that we arrested, had the intention of robbing. So there's probably a lot of robberies, or there's a lot of other issues that are going on that are unreported, just because of this trade and what goes on in this. It's all, criminal based. It's a criminal activity.
Is there a reason you won't be pursuing charges against the Johns right now, considering they're promoting prostitution?
They're actually not promoting prostitution by law. They're just engaged in prostitution. Promoting prostitution is an actual felony crime under the RCW. So we are not going after the prostitute or the John.
Why not?
We're wanting to curtail the activities of these spas and the immense. And right now, that's what our focus is on.
Is it a case of bigger fish to fry?
I don't know that it's necessarily bigger fish. It's just that we need to focus on what this whole case is based around: promoting prostitution, money laundering, and criminal profiteering.
So it sounds like a lot of these confidential informants were engaging in illegal activity, being paid to have sex, but they were working with detectives at the same time in this investigation.
I don't know that any of our CIs were working as prostitutes while we employed them as CIs. I know that they worked as prostitutes before, and after they weren't CIs, I can't tell you.
Can you say how many CIs you had used?
Well, it varies. You know, sometimes you may have 4, 5, 6. Other times there might only be 2 because it's just almost a study in sociology when it comes to this type of behavior, because sometimes they'll do it and then other times they'll just leave. They'll leave the county, they'll leave the state, they'll go to North Dakota or California. And so you constantly have new faces that you're seeing and new people that you're contacting.
At what point did you realize that this was much more spread out than just the casino prostitution?
When we started developing information about the spas on Spokane Board and Backpage, that's when it got beyond our control, and that's why we asked the other agencies to help us and join in on this. That's why all these agencies are here today. It's beyond my scope to do this. This affects everybody. It affects every jurisdiction, every neighborhood in this community, and so we have to do something about it, and everybody stepped up. All these departments said, yeah, we got to do something about it. That's why we're all here today, and that's what it's culminated today in these search warrants.
So you find out about this prostitution happening at the casino, then, you know, a couple weeks into this or a month into this, you realize that it's faster. Can you give me a timeline?
As far as how it's evolved, it takes a while to actually get information developed from a CI, because a CI will be cooperative, but they're only going to be cooperative up to a certain point to understand that they're taken care of too. And so it wasn't like an overnight thing. This took weeks, months. Like I say, we've been working this case for almost 14 months now, and today is the apex of that. Today is when it occurred, but it's taken that long to get all the probable cause established to affect these warrants.
What is your sense and your feeling now that today you made these busts?
It's not over today. I mean, you know, the investigation has come to an end for this portion of it, but now we have all the after effects. The phone calls, the follow-up, working with the prosecutors, working with the judge, you know, hoping that people will call with human trafficking issues. I'm just hoping that people will call. Some of these women will call us and let us know that they've been mistreated or that they're in these types of situations, so we can afford them help or get them help. It just doesn't stop with today. It's going to be going on for a long time. So, you know, some of the evidence, some of the cases, they could go up to 2 years. It could be 2 years before any of these go to trial.
You've been working with the prosecutor's office this whole time throughout the investigation. So are charges filed? This isn't going to be a case of they're released within 72 hours because the charges are filed?
They're being booked on those charges. Everyone that's in custody is booked on those charges.
Are they federal charges?
No, they're state charges.
And have they actually been filed? Are the charges formally filed? Not yet. Okay.
There's a lot of confusion when it comes to folks wanting to know about being charged or released. What it is you have 72 hours to file charges. We have what's called a pinch sheet or a booking sheet. We filed those charges. Now the report isn't, you know, you have some time to get the actual report in, but however, the booking and the PC will be sent. Well, they'll be booked on that, so for the first appearance, they'll have a charging document. The prosecutor already has all those, and he will have the reports once all this information is gathered.
Right.
Because we are still interviewing folks at those locations, as well as the owners.
And he just needs to file the charges within 72 hours of their arrest.
Correct.
Why today? What was the strategic benefit of making the raid today? Or was it just the first time you could culminate all these efforts?
A lot of it was that it took a long time to get this, and you have to understand when an investigation goes for a long period of time like this one does, you're always having to freshen up your probable cause. And so we've gotten to the point where this is it. We finally got all the probable cause we need. We need to go forward because we can't let it get stale. We just don't have the resources, the manpower to keep freshening it up. And we felt that we had a real strong case to go forward and execute them today. It just happens to be a hot day on July.
Sorry, let me interrupt. Just to be clear, did you have an undercover officer go to every single one of these spas in order to...
We have had We have either visited the spas or conducted surveillance on the spas on each one.
Are you offering protection or have anyone asked for protection out of fear of retaliation?
Nobody's come forward as yet, but like I say, they're still being interviewed.
Can you talk about the money laundering? It's not like you'd necessarily see that walking into a spa. Did you develop or work on that part of the investigation?
The money laundering part, I'm going to have someone else speak to that. I just know that it comes through the ill-gotten gain, the money that is got to purchase, let's say, a car or a residence. A lot of that is the money laundering, and I'm not prepared to speak exactly what the law says about money laundering. That would be the prosecutor that could do that. But I know that probable cause exists for money laundering. I'm just not prepared to talk about what money laundering.
Can you give us an example of what one of these posts would have looked like on Cocaine Border Backpage? What they might have said?
It depends on how much you want to pay for the ad. You know, if you want a basic ad, it's just got, sometimes a street name, sometimes their real name, and they would just say it's in call or out call. They have their own terminology, and they'll just say, how about a date, and it's like a regular escort service, and then they'll give a number to call, or you email it to their email address on the ad, and then they'll contact you or you contact them by phone and work the deal over the phone.
These spas were either Oriental spas or Asian spas. Are any of these people not U.S. citizens?
Not that we found out right yet, but we're still interviewing them. We believe every one of them is a citizen.
Earlier you said it depended on the week or the day and how many clients there might have been, but can you even put like a ballpark out there? We're talking hundreds of clients. I mean, any?
Well, when they're making $8,000 to $10,000 a month, some of these spas, that's quite a hefty client base. It depends on, some of them have it broke down. So much for this half hour, so much for an hour. If you want other things, it's just very sad.
Will you be collecting names of the Johns, or do you already have a list going, and what do you plan to do with it?
We have some. We're not collecting their names. We have some just because of during surveillance we've ran vehicle plates or other means. I believe at least one spa may have had a sign-in book, but who's to say they would use their, they're stupid enough to do this. They might be stupid enough to sign their own name, but I would doubt it.
Any names, though, that stuck out to you that you guys have?
No, none at this.
Some of these businesses have been in business for a very long time. Is this, I know this has been going on for a year, but have you had other complaints about this before? I mean, this can't have been the first time that Oriental spas are on your radar for prostitution.
Well, I'm Airway Heights, so I don't know. I would have to defer that to other agencies, but Airway Heights, we don't have these in our area. We just happen to have a business, Northern Quest Casino, that is very proactive and wanting to get rid of this, contact us. That's how we got involved. I don't know. You'd have to ask someone else that question.
How important was the undercover aspect to the investigation? Do you think you would have been able to do this if you just showed up in uniform?
No, because they have certain security measures in place, I guess, for lack of a better word, where you have to be referenced on some instances, where they actually provide the folks that are on these Spokane board or back page, they actually provide references, and you have to have references sometimes in order to gain access to certain the folks working there. They are able to talk to each other about clients and give references or say, hey, stay away from this guy or that guy. So it was very important to have undercover, not just in surveillance, but also getting into that world.
Any problems in execution at any 14 locations?
Absolutely none. Everything went off real smooth. Nobody was harmed. Nobody was hurt. Everything went very, very smooth.
Did the owners of this bus, did they give you any comments, or did they say anything?
I haven't talked to the teams yet. The teams are still out in the field. I know that they're interviewing some. Some have already requested lawyers, so that's that. But I know that they are still interviewing some folks.